Hello and welcome to the episode of The Card Show. In this week's episode, we're going to be talking about seasons starting, whether that is soccer season. Obviously, we had the recording this, which had the Charity Shield. Obviously, the EFL is already kicked off. We're now having pre-season friendlies in NFL. Obviously, the NBA season is not far off. The trades are happening. Obviously, big move was LeBron. Obviously, Giannis to Miami, etc. And what that means for sports cards, the prices, when it's best to buy, sell, and also other factors like fantasy leagues. How much they impact sports cards. So, without further ado, let's get into the episode. You don't. It's this time of year now. It's middle of August. We are getting to that September swing of things being in full flow, and fantasy leagues are obviously probably at the forefront. Now you'll probably see your friends are in your WhatsApp group. There's loads on social media. I do like the fact that, especially over here in the UK, some of the companies do get behind it as well. So I know Sports Trading Cards UK do one. I'm pretty sure I've seen, is it Kaboom do one? Someone else has done one. But yeah, I like the fact that, the people that are very much at the forefront of the growth of the hobby in this country are sort of doing these sort of things. I know some breakers do it, and other people just do it. People who collect cards in general do little fantasy leagues, some paid, some unpaid. This is one of the key things of buying and selling sports cards, right? It's all about the hype, the buzz, and now we're in a big hype cycle. I think the thing to remember, and this is the elite card investor mentality, is this is now the time to be selling cards, because this is when the hype is the highest. Hype for the season, hype for these new people to come through, whether it's the rookies, it's new signings. This is the time to sell. But what happens is people get caught up in a hype because they're searching for these cards, so they're buying. So sometimes you make that mistake. We have data to prove this sort of thing. If we go on Card Ladder Market Movies, obviously what we use over here, we see this all the time. There's a big cycle now of people buying these cards, hyped over the season, whether that's Mahomes at the Chiefs, whether that's Jalen Hurts at the Eagles, whether that's a Haaland card because he gets a Premier League season. After today's result, shouldn't be Haaland card. Maybe should be Odegaard, with performance. So it's a very important, integral part of buying and selling sports cards, especially if you're in this for financial reasons. If you're just buying and selling because you like a card, and also you don't like the card as much, and you prefer another card, and you want to sell and recoup some cash, then obviously it doesn't matter when you buy or sell your card. You could buy the 1st of January, sell on the 3rd of January. You could get by remorse, as you say, or you could look at a card and think, I don't actually like it as much as I thought I did. I was caught up in a bit of hype of a new product, or just about I liked it when I first saw it, but now I've got it in hand, I don't really like it, so I'm gonna sell it on. But if you are trying to make some financial gain, then these sort of things are quite integral to making sure that you profit. You're buying these NFL cards after the teams have been knocked out of contention for the playoffs. So that's back in the January, February time, or after the sort of Super Bowl's over. So soon as Super Bowl's over, back in the February, March, people aren't talking about NFL no more. That's when you can buy NFL. People don't think about it as much because NBA is still going on, and it's just a big gap from back in February till sort of now, really. Yes, there's a draft between that, but again, people think about the people who draft, people on the first uniform stuff, and there's a long wait for the products. So, we know there's good times to buy and sell. We know that also Christmas time is a kind of good time to be buying. People want to recoup some money. Some people have like a longer period of pay between Christmas and January because of when they get paid. Some just want money in the pockets so they can buy presents. So we know that December usually has a good sort of buy window for sports cards as well. But I think one thing they do neglect is the fantasy football side of things, and fantasy soccer teams. Whether these are people that like to gamble as well, right? Especially if it's a paid fantasy league. So introducing sports cards into that mix, at least it gives them something tangible, something to hold. So if your fantasy team sucks after a few weeks, you just put money down the drain. If you have cards of these players and you have a bad week, you have a better week the following week. If you're buying a player from the team in the top 4, 5, 6 teams, then they could be playing 3 times in that week. So they could have a bad game, but they don't score or don't look great. And also the next 2 games in midweek and the following weekend really set the world alight. People take notice again. Oh, it's Haaland. He's just scored 5 goals in 2 games. All of a sudden, people want a piece of Haaland. The search is up. Then possibly won't be as high as it has been for people like this because of the World Cup being over. So maybe we see a bit of a drawback. So it could affect how it's been previous years. When we've not had like a World Cup or Euros, so the hype's not been the big. I mean, not the previous World Cups or previous Euros were as big as this one for eyes on the World Cup. I think this is probably one of the biggest it's been for eyes on the World Cup, as well as eyes on the hobby. One would be being in the US the first time in 30 years, and 2 for like the Fanatics Fest National, sort of around that time. The Panini World Cup stickers are massive, and if I just think the promotion wise, everything's been going into the hobby the last couple of years has definitely pushed in the right direction and put it into more eyes. So there's definitely been a lot more eyes, a lot more money into the hobby. But like I said, you might see a bit of a drawback on sort of like soccer stuff because maybe the world's not paying attention as much now because, again, NFL, NBA, etc. is back on the minds. And, maybe just don't care about the Spanish league, the English league as much. So it's going to be interesting to see how that one plays out. Let me know if you're involved in a fantasy league, if you have a football one or an NFL one. That's how you get down. Very interesting. I think, one thing there to also think about as well is the issue we've got with grading at the moment. We're seeing it at PSA, we're seeing it at Beckett. The cheaper price to get your cards graded is no longer an option. I think the minimum price at PSA is $80 at the moment. So, you got $80 to just grade your card and have it gone for 3 months plus. If you're from UK, Europe, yeah. It's another thing that's probably going to have a big effect on the hobby. I do believe that PSA Europe is open. I actually don't know. Let's have a look at that now. While we're here. Do they have a different website? They definitely got a different Instagram. So I saw they were open. But I don't actually know. PSA, is it PSA Card Europe? So PSA Europe is now open. There's the post. Ready to submit to PSA Europe. Learn more. Link in bio. So the post says this was 5 days ago. Are you a Pokemon collector who loves football? What about a football collector who loves Pokemon? No matter what you're chasing next, PSA can help you build, preserve, and protect your collection. Check out these fun football-themed Pokemon cards and learn more about submitting to PSA Europe at a link in the bio. So that one says PSA Europe coming soon now. Right, I clicked on the link anyway. PSA Europe, so that is just start submission. How new tariff regulations are affecting PSA. I mean, I'm not going to lie. This is not a very good advertisement for them. This is very yeah. Yeah, this is not great. Like, there's such a barrier to entry here. You click on submit, start submission, it just leads you to the new tariff regulations. PSA name. Servicing. Yeah, I'm actually. This is pretty poor. Well, I expect nothing less, to be fair, from PSA at the moment. And they've had a poor few years. So yeah, so the cheapest one is regular $79.99. The card maximum value insured value $1,500. Right, but how do I find out what's going on with the UK? Because you're reviewing, because you're making out that you can just submit, but you can't. Yeah, very, very poor, like, done. You two links in the bio. One's about them opening up, and one's just leading about tariffs. Customer to Japan, that's great. Canada. Solutions, authorized dealers. I mean, can't say this has been great. Well, that was poor. So yeah, I don't actually. I mean, I presume it's just as poor as the rest of PSA at the moment. Yeah, we do supposedly have a PSA Europe open. I don't know if there is issues there. Is there a value scenario there? The way I see it, that should be completely free and empty space to have cards. Should be backlogged, and I can't see him shipping cards from America to Europe to send them out there. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe that's what they'll do. I just assumed that all the cards that have been sent to PSA offices in America are just going to stay there while they catch up with the backlog. I doubt they send them back to Europe, or send them to Europe if they're not from there to grade them. Gonna sneeze. That's me. One more? No? Bless me. Yes, one more. Sorry if I deafened you there. They tried to turn away. But yeah, it's a dust, and that's what it is. There is definitely a weird scenario, because for me that should be a completely free space now for PSA. People in Europe to send PSA in Europe, have cards graded without backlog at a cheaper price. But again, the website, the layout, even the links are all just a mess. So it's not like making it easy to do. So that'll be interesting to see if that is a fresh, clean slate for us in Europe to send cards there straight away, have them a good turnaround times at a good price. I think as well, it would kind of, especially from European point of view, it is no backlog, no import stuff. Well, we'd have a little bit in UK, I suppose, with EU, depending on how it works. But yeah, even without the such delays of getting it to America, just send it straight to Europe now, to Germany. So, I mean, it could make it extremely, it could be extremely difficult to go elsewhere, because then you're probably looking at a better turnaround for a better price. In Europe, yeah, it kind of negates the whole, well, if you're in Europe and you have to now send it to America at $80 and wait X amount of months, you might as well just send it to XYZ, because, get it on the market graded. You're probably going to, when you have your money back a lot sooner. And two, you probably wouldn't, the loss might be not much difference, especially if it is a sports where it is so reliant and dependent on injuries, some sort of stories come out about the person, and also performance. So that would, could be very interesting. They also need to be better on their social media side, PSA Europe. So I'm not surprised. I mean, the last post I said was 5 days ago, and it's about them being open. Even the post is a bit weird, if you ask me, but whatever. So interesting. What are your thoughts? If PSA is open in Europe to use to send there, no backlog, and it's standard price of like 20 quid, like 22 euros, we want to probably do some crazy stuff like that. If that is the case, and it's, the 3 month turnaround, 5 month turnaround, is this now just like the gold standard, the one we're going to do? Or if it is like America, we have the $80, so it's $79.99. So we have, let's just say it's £60, and it's X amount of months waiting. Is it then like, probably not worth it? It's probably worth going to somewhere else. Or do you still think I'm going to do it at PSA, and that's where I should be sending my cards, the max value? It is interesting to see how that pans out. They definitely need to up their game. For me as well, the way the PSA have been for the last few years, they really should be giving a lot back to us collectors, investors, for this, because I think they haven't treated the hobby correctly, the industry correctly. So yeah, they should definitely do a good year of better service and lower fees and more specials. I know people say, "Oh, get more backlog and to cope," but they've seen this coming. They went through COVID and they struggled, and they thought about the growth, and they've talked about the growth, and they've bought into other companies. I know it's obviously not PSA, but the company that own PSA, they've done so much with the eBay side of things. You can buy a card on eBay; it's over $200 now, and you can submit to grading. And PSA can just hold it in a vault and then sell it for you. So yeah, they're doing so much that side of things. They definitely should have focused on the sort of their bread and butter as well. And yeah, I mean, I don't know for a fact, but hearing like the grading fee, the grading wage isn't great. So if you're a grader, it's not great wage. I guess this is where people like AGS kind of make a lot more sense, right? You're not having as many humans, so you probably want to pay them a little bit more, a little bit better, and you're relying on the computers and that's to do the heavy lifting, the majority of the work. Whereas at PSA, there's like 5-6 different sections of just humans, whether that's a research team, make sure the card is what the card is. Then you've got the graders, and I'm sure you've got the encapsulators, and you've probably got people that handle it either side, when you receive it in, document it, and vice versa when you send it out to you guys. So I imagine they've got a big sort of long factory line of employees, but yeah, maybe they just need to invest to make sure like retention is obviously great. If you can, it's better than getting new people. So if you can retain the staff you've got and then bring on people on board, I think the investment is definitely worth it, because the amount of money you're charging, you can definitely afford it. I have no doubt in my mind that PSA is an extremely profitable company. It's ridiculous. And don't get just about the fees. There's also upcharges. So yeah, and surprisingly, I do see people rolling around with PSA merch. I don't know if they've actually bought it, but yeah, definitely see people with PSA merch, more so in the US and UK, or Europe. But yeah, definitely PSA. So PSA aren't shy of a few pennies and a bit of profit. But and it's interesting to see if MGC or if Ace or even AGS UK, I suppose they're just kind of different with being a US company, but the first one to branch into UK. But if they were like, what could they do really challenge PSA? Like maybe not globally, like maybe Americans don't think, oh, we've got to send it to UK to MGC or to Ace or whatever. But like just for the UK and European hobby, what can they do? Is there anything they can do to sort of put in that position where people go, well, do you know what? Cheap turnarounds, nice slabs, good price. Quick turnarounds, not cheap turnarounds. Yeah, quick turnarounds. Like, they do a lot for the hobby. Like, what more can they do? Yeah, it's very difficult. I'd hate to have a grading company now to try and compete. This logic of PSA being the gold standard is, it's crazy. I don't know how that happened. Maybe if this industry is regulated, we'd have like a thing where no matter what the company was, if it was a 10, then that was a set price. If it was a 9, it was set price. 8, set price. 7, set price. All the way down. Maybe that would level the playing field, and people wouldn't be so bothered about getting to PSA. But yeah, this PSA premium is crazy. Now I'm someone who doesn't. Obviously I do have PSA cards. I also have SGC. I have MGC. I technically do have an Ace card. Who else have I got? I got GMA, HGA, obviously Beckett. Oh, do I have CGC still? I think I have old CGC labels. Or I might have sold them. I can't remember. I have to go through. Definitely got CG. Yeah, I definitely got CGC, don't I? I've got CG. Yeah, CGC. I have cards just in mags because I'm someone that buys the card. If it's my personal collection, I buy the card as a card. I have kind of changed my shift these last 12 months, I'd say. 12 to 18 months, especially, to that sort of decision of when I wasn't going to show as much, to utilize that money to, one, put more into the business side of things and buy more cards inventory-wise to sell. But also for my personal collection, it's like, hey, do you know what, instead of just buying cards sort of that were, Chiefs, or I bought a few Man City ones, I think. I actually bought a few more Ronaldo ones. R9 Ronaldo, because he was my football idol as a kid. He was one that made me fall in love with football properly. I remember as a kid saying that I'd love to go. I went Main Road all the time, so it just wasn't a big thing for me. So I was like, oh, I'd rather go to San Siro and go to Main Road. And everyone was shocked by that. I was like, well, yeah, I know, get to San Siro and see Ronaldo, who's out in Milan at the time. I got this knockoff shirt in Crete. Was it Crete? Yeah, that was one of my favourite shirts. Yeah, Jesus, poor form. But yeah, I digress. So, it has sort of changed for how I collect cards and what cards I collect for. I've gone for a lot of gold Prism this last year, and obviously recently I've gone for gold tops, chrome or sapphire, etc. Obviously, I'd like the number factor, like gold, because I think it just has it's gonna have that sort of retention of value that I like to sell, and ever. Obviously, I've gone for a lot of autos, mainly again for my personal collection. But again, I think a lot of them, or majority of them, are going to be numbered autos because again, it brings that scarcity factor. And again, some of them are graded, some of them are not, because I buy the card. It's just very intriguing how someone like myself, and obviously I've seen collectors, I know collectors, I've been in this for so long, how so many of us just go to, like, it has to be PSA, it has to be a 10. And it's like, oh, it's a 9, I'll sell for this price just to recruit some money back. It's like, there's no like, oh, I'm going to hold it at this price. And I get it, because just because you say, oh, well, it's a 9, it's still extremely good. It's still very good copy of this card. And let's face it, if it's, it's that one person who graded it a 9, I'm going to presume it's a bit like VART, where if it's not a clear and obvious mistake, about the guy who seconds the card goes, yeah, it's fine, it's a 9, cool. I doubt very much that they proper scrutinize a 9 and go, oh, what if you made a mistake here? Look again, it might be a 10. But yeah, that's how I imagine the PSA grading thing to go. There's a little VAR to look at the card, bring out a VAR, and go, hey, clear and obvious mistake. So yeah, it's just crazy. It's just crazy. And we saw it with the way they doing a whole buyback thing with Pokemon cards that were like 8s and 9s, then all of a sudden regrade them and go back at 10s. It's crazy. Like, maybe we do need a regulation, like a regulatory body in this hobby. Yeah, crazy. Well, before I go down that wormhole, let's change topics quickly. Swiftly moving on. So this is the weekend of the London Card Show. I didn't attend. Actually, I had a hotel room up until I think it was a Tuesday or Wednesday. I think I had to cancel it by Wednesday, so I think I did it on Tuesday. Just other things came up. I wasn't in a situation where I like had to go through anything, so I was like, it was only like a personal trip. So I didn't go. It seems like it was. I mean, again, I'm in Manchester and it's beautiful weather, so I can assume it was beautiful down there. it seems like the show was absolutely buzzing. It was what I expected. I said the whole National Fanatics Fest, biggest contingency of Europeans in English, probably on record. Since Paul Revere said the English are coming. Historical joke there. Yeah, I think this undercard show was, has gone down extremely well. I'm intrigued because obviously they opened up the biggest Friday they've done. I'm intrigued to see what the next thing is because they always step up. I've noticed that with the undercard show, the team there, so smart, so diligent what they do. It's every time it's like it's a step up, and it's not an overstep. It's not like two steps. It's always a step up at a time. And so yeah, I'm intrigued by the next step up. I obviously thought they were going to do Excel more than they have. They're doing it once a year. Those things. I think maybe that'll change in 2028. But yeah, very intrigued by that. I have a hotel for the October-November one. We shall see. I know I'm definitely in the country this time. I'm away in a few weeks' time. What are we now? August. So yeah, let's say 3 weeks. I'm away for a bit, and then I'm back. And I'm back in. Yes, I'm away. Basically, middle of September. Then I'm away in November. Kind of always go away this time of years, as it's my wife's birthday and it's my birthday. So September and November, I just kind of like nil pot months. And then I have my anniversary in February, so I'm usually away for that as well. So if you have shows during them times, it's difficult for me to be there. I think I've got this joke with the Soccer Cards United boys because they always put their show like on or around the anniversary. I'm kind of like, yeah, if you see me at your show, it's definitely not a good look for me. Ask questions, see if I'm checking on me, see if I'm okay. Because I definitely shouldn't be there. But yeah. So yeah, we hopefully, well, touch wood, I should be catching up with a good friend of the show and good friend Ben, aka Rainy, aka MCC Don, the head honcho. And I'm hoping to get my MCC shirt as well. It was a sneak peek of it on his Instagram. I thought it was black. The picture looked very blue though. It's one of them things, was it black and gold or blue and black, where it was? I swear I thought it was black, and then I seen the picture and it was blue. And I was like, oh no. I mean, I say oh no, I like blue. I'm a City fan, but still, something black. Blue, it definitely fits in with the summer vibe more though, and kind of fits in with the MCC vibe. Maybe a bit of red in there. Red and blue seems to be the colour scheme there. But yeah, hopefully can get picked up. Then should be MCC. Hopefully catching up with the boy Keyballs. I didn't do I think part of the content we're trying to World Cup. I was doing the World Cup sticker book. I wanted to complete it before the World Cup ended. I didn't do that. So yeah, I think I need to like 100 and I think it's like 100 stickers. So it was 150, and I purchased my first 50 of Panini the other day. I did get the email yesterday, I think, saying that they've been dispatched. So I'm hopefully get them. Keyballs does have loads. I doesn't know. Well, he didn't tell me which ones he's got. So yeah, we kind of started to deal there. I've got something he needs to finish his book, so that's really cool. I can just hand some cash over for those. I should be catching up with the boy Sports Guard UK. We're going to do some stuff on some content. I mean, we actually talked about this, about doing some stuff, so that's going to be cool. I think I've missed that sort of aspect of the growth in sort of content, because obviously Dan and I did a lot of content early on, a couple of years ago. Yeah, that kind of, I don't know, I just I don't see it as much, like the collaboration content. Dan and I talked about this. I think it was him and Cal. I think the Instagram now was like Cal.sidecards or sidecars Cal. Yeah, that makes sense. So yeah, I think there's definitely a big scope for a lot of collaboration, a lot of content. So hopefully we can start and do something. Yeah, like I said, I got some stuff planned with Kiwo over the weekend. I'll try and get some stuff with Ben Griffey. I know he's been busy, but yeah, it's gonna be cool to get some stuff done and get back out doing content, not just around sports cards, but around sports and just around, real people in real life in the hobby. So I'm looking forward to it. Especially people like Keebles, Sports Card UK Dan. I need to try and get the boy Sardan as well. Hope he's at MCC. But yeah, it's just going to be. I feel like there's a good air in the hobby at the moment. And plus like BHA got his card back that was stolen. Mahomes variation chrome. I think that was like gold to 50. I think in PSA 10. I did see rumors that they didn't press charges. I don't know how I feel about that. I feel like it needs to be a punishment for what this guy's done. I mean, especially the prices are talking for this card as well. But yeah, hey ho. It's wild out there at the moment for this sort of stuff, whether it's forgeries or theft. Gotta be safe. Gotta be safe out there. But I don't know. Maybe it's another episode, another talking point. But I want to thank you all for listening. Again, 30 minutes of hopefully some good information, some good talking points. Let me know. Some guests coming soon. Now that the thickness and the fastness of shows is over, get some guests back on again. I have got a few lined up that I'm extremely excited for. And, make sure you check out some old podcasts, listen to some of the older guests that have been on there back in the day. Some repeat guests, obviously. And make sure you check out their content as well. If we know that Keebles is doing that. Peterborough Sports Cards is back doing his content. So yeah, I'm excited. I feel the content bug a lot more. Collaborative content bug. So shout out to Sports Cards UK and that little convo we had. But yeah. I will see you guys soon. Peace.